Yeah, they're getting into it.
This is shit about two. Alright, be nice. I don't know if you got one that's
Faster than I anticipated, so I'm going to hang out over here to give her space because, as cute as she looks, she is actually fiercely territorial, even though she's really small by size. That's a very common attribute for her as a fox, more specifically as a bad-eared fox. So as a bad-eared fox should be local, again, that same habitat as our African cheetahs. So sub-Saharan Africa, however, foxes, much like a lot of other canids, so canid basically meaning that she's related to dogs, highly intelligent species. Now, intelligence can be rated a lot of different ways. One of the best ways to look at it is basically creativity and adaptability. So their ability to problem solve, which is exactly what she's doing right now. Pretty simple in terms of this problem. It's just, here's a bunch of your food and bugs that can kind of crawl through this little puzzle feeder and try and use a lot of your other adaptations. So basically her facial features and her little front feet to be able to grab that food. And then adaptability, which is actually a really strong suit of foxes, in that you can find them in different habitats, completely unrelated from one habitat to another. And so those bad-eared foxes have been known, based off of climate and time of year, to actually change completely different geographical locations and adapt completely to different night cycles, daytime, night cycle, based off of heat and weather, other things. So, and really, really highly intelligent animals. Now, with that being said, you might say like, oh, well, those highly intelligent animals, that must be such a pleasure to work with. Yes and no. So with those highly intelligent animals, also comes with the territory of an animal that is going to be actually a big challenge to work with, because those animals do require a lot of different stimulus. So basically things that would otherwise affect their senses. So right now, what Jess is working with her is basically just asking her to hop on this little seat and follow her around. And what I just placed out for her is actually a different form of reinforcement for her. And so this might sound a little weird to all of you folks. It's actually chicken and gravy baby food mixed with water.
Baby food,
now, sounds super strange, but a lot of our animal ambassadors are actually Gerber babies. And the reason for that, again, as weird as it might sound, is because it does provide a lot of our animals with some really important nutrients, and more importantly, allows us to really properly hydrate our animals. Especially as some of our animals get older, closer towards their natural life expectancy, we want to make sure that they're staying constantly hydrated, we're able to flush out their system, which allows them to really maintain healthy organs. So a lot of things that we do as animal trainers have two different reasons behind it. One, we like to do things just that our animals inherently like, and then two, we like to do things that would otherwise help them in terms of their overall life quality. And so that's exactly what we're able to do there. Just barely missed it, so let's see if Christina can figure out exactly where that is, and she did. So using that really powerful sense of smell, she was able to figure out, oh, it's just there on the other side of that little bowl there. In terms of what Jess is feeding her, first, what was in that little puzzle feeder was actually, I mentioned a little bit, was a bevy of some bugs. So we're talking about mealworms and crickets, other little things. Those mealworms and crickets, in fact, are actually pretty much the only live prey that we give any of our animals here at the entirety of the safari park. Outside of that, none of our other carnivores are receiving any live prey. So everything else will be frozen and then thawed. And so that's what the other part of her meal that she's receiving is basically raw lean ground beef. And it's a great carnivore supplement of nutrients. It has all the stuff that they really need in there, so it still includes tendons, bones, everything else still mixed up. Other stuff that for us as humans we wouldn't necessarily like as much, but are great for her in terms of her diet. Now you might also notice that Jess is not hand feeding CHEETAH. every time that CHEETAH has done this correct behavior, which is basically just kind of following her around, she is making that click sound with the clicker that's in her hand. It's a really common tool, especially in terms of like dog training or any other animal training that any of you might be familiar with. And basically what that click is it symbolizes a bridge. And so it bridges the moment in time in which an animal has done the correct behavior to reinforcement. So basically, CHEETAH is just being asked to follow Jess around. Jess is saying yes by clicking on that clicker, and then she's reinforcing her with different things that she likes. So one of it was the chicken and gravy baby food. Another one was being able to throw down those lean ground beef pieces. And then with that, she's going to, again, throw it to her, not hand feed her. You know, a lot of that is based off of different species of an animal, why you may or may not hand feed an animal. Now, particularly with canids, they are still part of a social hierarchy, so they do understand dominance. And so placing your hand out in front of an animal, one, that you're placing your hand right there.
All right, I like the energy right up here. How's everyone doing? All right, are you all ready to see a cheetah run? Yes, that's perfect energy here on a beautiful sunny afternoon here at the San Zoo Safari Park. My name is Kelsey. I'm going to be your host for the next 15 or 20 minutes, and it will be my pleasure to introduce to you all of our cheetah team as they arrive, which it looks like they have done right here, right now, on cue. And so I'm going to be joined by my co-trainers, Ashley and Alana, as well as Callie, as well as our special guests of the afternoon, Bayati and Willow. Now, all of you today are going to have the absolute delight to see what a cheetah does best, which is run full speed, possibly up to 70 miles per hour right here directly in front of you. Now, the reason we're able to do this is for a couple different reasons, but primarily it's going to be this track that you see in front of you. Now, it is specially designed, so that way our cheetah has that ability to go all the way up to that maximum speed of 70 miles per hour and still have enough room to stop. So it is a 100-meter track, which again is going to end right over there where that little orange cone is. And so for all of my guests there on the bridge, hello. Yeah, our cheetah's going to be running directly at you folks. But again, this 100-meter track is specifically designed so that way our cheetah does have enough room to stop. And then it is also because of our wonderful training staff that we have here. Again, I have Alana and Kelly directly in front of me. They're going to be operating the lure as well as having Bayati run all the way over at this end of the track, and Kelly will be receiving Bayati once she has finished that run. Now, we're also able to bring you this wonderful event for one really important reason, and that is part of our guidelines with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it's only that we just maintain a double fence line barrier. So what I ask all of you folks to do is just help us maintain that fence line by making sure all of your personal possessions, as well as little ones' legs and arms, are completely on your side of the fence. So again, just make sure all those personal possessions as well as body parts are on your side of that fence. That way we can continue to have this amazing run for years to come. Now, I do see that Willow, our yellow lab and best friend of Bayati, is already on the track. What she's going to be doing today is a really special role. She is going to be running full speed all the way down this track, chasing the lure toy that's attached to the string, which is powered by a battery and motor winch that Alana, who is our lure operator today, will be operating. She might have the hardest job today here at the track, and she's basically going to be playing keep away with the fastest land animal on earth. That is really, really hard, especially when our cheetahs know that they don't have to kick it into full gear until right about me. And so here comes Willow running down the track, chasing that toy. Let's give her a round of applause. Give it up for Willow. She's incredibly fast. Now, I know a lot of you have your photos and cameras out right now. Did anybody get a really good shot of Willow?
Yeah. On video.
Yeah, maybe not. Bayati runs twice as fast as Willow. So, my advice for everybody here at the track today is put down those cameras, put down those phones, and just watch Bayati's run. After she finishes her run, our trainers will be assessing Bayati in terms of her breath rate to see if she can run a second time.
Now, when she does that, that'll be your opportunity to be able to grab all those pictures and those photos. But while she is running, again, just put those down. Listen to the beat of her feet on that ground. It's a really incredible and powerful sound. And it'll allow you to really glance at that full stride of that cheetah. And Bayati, I can tell you right now, there will be parts of her run in which not a single foot will be touching the ground. Really, really incredible stride and run dynamic from those African cheetahs. Now, what I want everybody to prepare for is looking for a couple really key and crucial hand signals coming from our trainers. Now, Ashley here on the far end is our release trainer. She will be releasing Bayati all the way down this track. What you're going to be looking out for is when her hand goes up, that means Bayati is about to run out. As soon as her hand goes down, Bayati will be running on that track. And so those are going to be the key hand signals that you're looking for, and it looks like we are ready, so everybody enjoy Bayati's run.
Let's go!
Alright, everybody give it up for Bayati.
I got that right on there.
Now she ran that in 5.43 seconds. Incredible speed, and what you're seeing and listening to right now is actually a trade that Kelly, our catch trainer, has done with Bayati. So basically that toy is really, really reinforcing. She loves to catch that. She's played with that since she was a young cub, and then we traded her out that toy with a big pan of meat. And so that delicious carnivore diet, because cheetahs are obligated.
We're operating by Alana over here because those are really good. She was so kind of the goal, the idea for we're operating is really to help stimulate that run by Bayati, but wanting to keep it really as close to her as possible, because if you keep it too far, that you can pull that lure really far out in front of her as soon as she runs, and she's just going to stop mid-track, just hang out in the shade, because she knows she's not going to be able to catch it. But because she has that ability to really potentially out-accelerate that lure, it's also a big skill of being able to keep it that close, knowing that she can still potentially run faster than what you're thinking. So it's a big, basically, trick of the mind and the eye as a lure operator to keep it that close. But it's really good because then it is still stimulating her on that, basically that chase of that toy, knowing that she's on top of it, but not necessarily allowing her to grab it. Because if she does grab it, that's okay. We do still want to be able to reinforce her for that, so grabbing it mid-track is still totally okay, but ideally we want her to be able to, if she does grab it at the very end of the runs, that way you still get the full breadth of that run. And so, right now it's just a little bit of water, and so talked about it after the first run, being able to assess our cheetahs after runs and monitor their breath rate. Even though she's only running 2 6-second runs, we still want to make sure that she is at that optimal health. So these runs, in fact, are really allowing us to essentially do an exercise session. And so even though it's really, really fun for everybody else to see, and it looks kind of like this big show, it's an important training session for us. And so if she weren't able to stretch out those muscles, so in that full stride, she's able to kind of bend almost like a parabola of her spine, and that really allows her to get that full stretch of those muscles and those ligaments, which otherwise just on a kind of basic run or jog, if we were to do something like that, she wouldn't necessarily get. And so just think about in terms of being an athlete, just being able to keep a lot of those muscles and the rest of her body in kind of that top shape. But we don't ask her by any means to run every single day. So after she runs, she has an off day, and then she probably won't run again for either 2 or 3 more days. And so giving her a lot of good rest. And then her diet also alters based on that. So all of our diets for all of our animal ambassadors are in line with our PhD nutritionists. And so trying to figure out what, again, is the optimal diet for an animal that essentially is an Olympic athlete out in the natural habitat. All right, are we lining up right now? Okay. So what we're going to end up doing as soon as Bayati takes a seat is we're going to be going group by group, taking photos. We will start at one end, and all I ask is that you leave all of your personal possessions behind, and we will guide you. But again, as soon as Bayati has that seat, just make sure that we're going to be staying an arm's length away, and please refrain from reaching out. We are going to lead you all group by group, and so we'll start.